Welcome to the JBJ Management Podcast. I'm Willis Johnson, and our guest today is Justin Parscale of the Parscale Group. Justin, first of all, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Man, I am excited. Yeah, I think excited is the right word, actually.
I won't hold it against you that your two favorite sports teams are both anti-Willis.
Mm-hmm.
One, the Oklahoma State University Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Had UT's number pretty good over the last decade.
Well, not when BJ was there.
Sure.
I think they're over. Okay, so check the box on that. And then, no, UT beat them last year, didn't it?
I said for the most part.
I think they beat the hell out of them last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, sir.
Jesus.
Yeah, all my life.
And I'm always intrigued. And then I'm going to get to the real reason we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued, especially by people from Oklahoma who live in Texas. But every day, down with the Longhorns, down with SMU, down with we Oklahoma Cowboys. Oh, you. Oh, go to Oklahoma.
I'll tell you, I have never once done the down Longhorn thing. I don't get wound up that much. The OU people annoy me worse than the A&M people. So no, most of the OU people OU fans did not go to.
Because it's interesting that the Oklahoma State fans don't quite get along with Oklahoma.
No.
That's a big game at the end of the year.
It was
Bedlam.
It was, but now they ran off to the SEC.
And so where's the Oklahoma State now? What conference?
Big 12 with a bunch of teams that I think are full of athletes. So I think it's going to be a very athletic conference.
Wow, it's amazing.
I think it'll be a high-scoring, fun-to-watch conference going forward.
It's just amazing how I think money has changed sports. And if we're not careful, this SEC is going to be the super power, and then it's going to be everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I watch sports less and less and less the more I see money influence. I mean, what was cool about college was these kids were in it to play it, and they were there for 4 years or 5 years, and if they weren't, it's because they needed to go to a smaller school to get some playing time.
Right.
No, we're going to miss what it was. Nobody will ever know.
Well, now you got this, what is it, the NIL money, which I say to BJ all the time, and God, if he'd been 22 now, as opposed to 42, and still had that athletic ability, we might have a different conversation today.
Probably not sitting on a podcast, right? Because even Dad still got to work.
I mean, these people they're paying money out of the wahoo these days.
Mm-hmm. I got a second cousin. She's a softball player. She's number 3 in her position, and she's got all the universities looking at her. Now, she's not getting the NIL opportunities, but there is money that she knows she's going to have access to.
Right. It's in every sport. So let me flip the script, because you were at Perkins and Will, one of the biggest A&E firms in the country.
Global.
You left to start the Parscale Group.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about that. Tell me about that transition, and what were you thinking, and how has it been?
I'll say the transition to then Perkins and Will was easy and fun. You know, my bosses, who were also friends, Tom Reisenbeckler, David Collins, I sat between them for the majority of my young time at Perkins and Will, and was able to learn how they handle people, how they handle business, how they handle relationships, while playing architect kind of on the side. And then, I mean, that's how I met you, you know, relationships, managing relationships, creating opportunities while playing architect on the side. And then at some point you sit around and you're like, I now have all these friendships and relationships and have partners that can not play architect on the side, but they can play architect up front. Why can't we just go do that ourselves? And it was during COVID. You know, I'm sitting there working in my backyard in my shorts in the cabana, having calls with clients about doing projects. And one of them I finally said, what if I just do it on my own? And he asked, what does that look like? And I was like, well, what if I leave, take a couple guys, and we go do this project on our own? He said, giddy up. So that led to me calling those guys. And in less than a month, the three of us kind of mapped out a way to conquer the world.
Was it fearful?
I just had lunch with somebody and talking to her about that fearful thing.
Yep.
Nah, fear's not the right word. Scared's not the right word. It's an unknown. We have this company motto: take risks, explore what ifs, and deliver. So if in the end we know we can deliver, the other two things are kind of just stepping out there and relying on who you know and what you know. I know enough people to get us opportunities. They have enough experience in the people that now work with us. We have so much more experience than 99% of the smaller firms. There's really not much we can't deliver. We're just currently held back by 2024, which I say is less than kind. Interest rates, the economy. We're a very developer-driven architecture firm.
Mm-hmm.
So we need the developers to have access to cash and capital, and that cash and capital is too expensive for them to make the deals work. So then we sit on the sideline.
So would it have been better now for you to still be at Perkins and Will?
No way. No way.
So you love this entrepreneurial spirit that you
I want to
have.
do more of something. I want to do multiples of companies. When I worked at Perkins and Will, or I worked for the man, I always imagined when I would retire. Now I'm like, how long can I go? I mean, if you base it on this year, it's like I have to go for a long time because the income's not there. But I just want to keep going. I want to keep going. What else can we do? How can we grow? I'm competitive. So while we have an architecture firm, I'm building a brand that will stand on its own in this, super welcoming, super affording city to start a company, right? This city will allow you to try.
I think that spirit of how long can I go, it's just the entrepreneurial spirit that exists because, and I'll go back to the sports world. Robert Kraft, who owns the New England Patriots, or when George Steinbrenner owned the New York Yankees, or Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys. I know there may be people who want them to retire, but this is what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to roll them out of there, man.
You can only play so much golf.
Right. You're still trying to rub the sticks and create another thing.
If my target, if I want, when somebody rolls into town and they say, hey, who are the best design architecture firms in town? And I want people to go, well, there's Perkins Will, there's HKS, there's Gensler, there's Omniplan, there's Parscale Group, right? I need it to roll out with those firms.
Sure.
And those firms have been established for, if not 100 years, whatever. And so I'm not going to get there in 5 or 10 years and retire. I'm going to keep building this thing.
One of the things that I talked to you about several years ago before you formed your own company was getting more minority kids into the architectural world, finding an opportunity to increase the ethnicity in the Perkins and Will, in the Gensler, in Omniplan. And it's something you said that I remember. Well, they have to take better courses. They have to get in the game themselves.
Yeah,
right.
You got to sign up.
And they're not.
But, I can go back to when I think, if I was probably in third year, let's go 1993-ish. There was a kid, he'd have been in first year, I would have been in third year, and they're assigned, like a mentor. So I was a mentor. This was a young black dude. And his path was so much harder than mine. They were so much more critical of what he was doing. And then I was calling bullshit. And I remember there was a project, and it was hands. It was a sketch. I remember he did a sketch of his hands, and this was the concept for what he was going to design a project around.
Mm-hmm.
But he and I planned that thing together. But his name was on the grade. Had my name been on the grade, I got an 85.7. I got 85.7, 8 everything I did was 85.7. Like, right? But this dude ended up getting an F. And that might have been the first time that I was like, what? And he quit. He quit right after that. And so that stays in my head pretty well. Now that was those professors, that was some old school rock star professors.
Sure.
They were also old school. They're all dead, dying, retired, gone, by almost a whole nother generation since then. That don't make it right.
But they have children and grandchildren that they influenced who are in positions of decision making now. Mm-hmm. Does that still exist today?
For sure it does. But there's also those of us who weren't raised that way and have the opportunity to influence others to have more opportunities, and have also raised our kids to be way better than I am. And it's I want this company to be successful overnight. We had a business plan that said we were going to be rocking it in 3 years. You know what? I think maybe it's going to be 5. I hope 4 doesn't suck, but it's definitely going to be 5.
Because I tell our team, it takes 14 months from the point of contact to signing the contract. Uh-huh. That's the average amount of time that it takes to close a deal, which means sometimes, Justin, it may be 36 months to get that deal done.
Schedules never go the same. So apply that back to what we were just talking about. You're talking about influencing generations. So you're like 10, 12, 14-year swings where you just alluded to a 14-month. Mm-hmm. 14-month. We're talking 14 years of improving opportunities. And, I choose to spend my time where I spend my time. And I'm currently the chair of Barack Obama Male Leadership Friends board of Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. And, these young men, 99% of them are way ahead of where I was when I was a kid. And my choice to participate with them is to kind of push them to keep pushing themselves, because I think the world today is a lot more welcoming to them, for sure, than it was when I was there, and absolutely from when you was there. But their opportunities are there. They just got to kind of go take it.
To that point, so we have 3 interns this summer here at JBJ. The 3, just happenstance, are 3 African-American males. One is a member of the South Oak Cliff football team, that state championship and all that stuff. So we have 3 African-American males, and I take pride in those 3 African-American males. And I say that because I want to go back to the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. My entree into Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy with Nakia Douglas.
That's the dude I ever met.
When the school was on Lancaster, next to Veterans, to the VA hospital. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to speak there. This had to have been at least 10 years ago. The school was predominantly black males. There was one white kid. I remember his name was Roy, because he stood out. He was the only white kid there. It was probably 85% black males. Fast forward, it's probably 65%, 70% Hispanic males now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's an evolution.
There's a white dude. He's a redhead white dude.
I wonder if it was related to Roy, because Roy was redheaded too.
Crazy.
But now think about that. You're trying to mold the minds of young men, especially minority young men, getting into a society that may not be favorable to them. What curriculum and what resources exist at a school like Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy, of which you are the chair of the advocacy board, exist?
It's all the curriculum. I mean, it's just school, and I think you can take the classes away, take the curriculum away. It's the brotherhood, the Lyceum program, the professionalism that's handed down from one senior to a junior to a sophomore to the 8th, 7th, and 6th graders.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 6th graders walking around with their jackets on and their ties done and their shirts tucked in, learning from their older brothers how to be professional, how to be competitive, how to speak.
And that handshake and look them in the eye.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I got introduced to the school in kind of a roundabout way. My son played lacrosse in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way through high school, through college. He was paired on a team with, Kevin Mundy Sr.
Sure.
With little Kevin Mundy, who's now big Kevin Mundy. He and my son were buddies, and they both played goalie. Kevin Mundy was great. My son was okay. Good sometimes, and had a couple great plays.
I get it.
But Kevin Mundy's, his dad would drive him from southern Dallas up to Hillcrest, where they played lacrosse. My son didn't go to Hillcrest, but he played lacrosse at Hillcrest. And they were the two goalies. In every dang game, all the time, Kevin would defer half his playing time to Evan. He didn't have to. But that's what was instilled in him in that school. And Evan was his teammate and his partner. And he's like, that was my introduction to the school. So it wasn't about the school, it was about the man, the young man. And those two still talk to this day, which is crazy cool.
And I'm watching the graduation rate and then what happens, who goes to college. All of that is significant. And that school is in the heart of the southern sector. The school now is at the old A. Maceo Smith. Now, you have to understand the history behind old A. Maceo Smith.
Yeah.
Those who know anything about New Jack City, A. Maceo Smith was across the street from New Jack City. Things have changed. Those apartments across the street are not quite as active as they used to be back in the day. The times have changed. But this whole thing about education, and then rolling into entrepreneurship. If you're talking to a kid at Barack Obama, are you talking to them about getting a job or owning a company?
I'm talking to every single kid I meet. Rich kid, poor kid, white kid, black kid. Learn how money works. Skip that racquetball tennis class. I think I mentioned this to you one day. Skip that. Don't take racquetball and tennis because you had an elective and you could sleep in or get that easy B. If it's easy, you're not going to try hard enough to
Keep
get
the GPA up, right?
Yeah. Take international finance. Learn how money works. I never had anybody to teach me how money worked. I didn't grow up with my dad, so I didn't have that opportunity that a lot of people have with full complement of a family. Dad's sitting there talking about what they did in business that day,
right?
Whether an employee or an owner,
right?
My mom, she's money. She was working to raise two boys, one good one and the other happened to be my brother. And we didn't have those conversations. We did sit around that dinner table every day, which I think is critical to a family's success. So we sat around that table every evening. And but I think a lot of young people hear indirectly how money works from their parents, and then they get to apply that to something later. I'm now 52, and I feel like it's been the last 5 years. I'm like, oh, that's how you make money with money. Now I'm trying to figure out how to make money, the first set of money.
Do you have later access to money?
Do I now?
Yes.
No. We've done this 100% on our own. I didn't save money to start this company. I made mistakes. I made decent money at Perkins and Will. I look back at it now. I was like, I don't know what I did with it. I don't know what I did with it.
That means something.
And we we went and met with banks, and we were looking for a bank. And we're in the service industry, and I had myself $150,000, right? And my partners came up with their own share. And we went and met with banks, and I said, hey, I would like a line of credit and a small business loan. We met with like 6 banks. 4 of the 6 said no. But we'd like you to put your money in my bank. Well, you put your $150 in my bank, but we can't give you our money because we don't produce widgets. We later learned, like, if we had a candle shop, at least the bank could take our candles. But we provide a service. We design, we draw on a handful of $5,000 laptops, right? We have some desks. There's nothing left for them to take. And then I met with one bank, highly recommended by one of our super influential clients. And that guy said across, he goes, okay. He goes, I'll give you $100,000 for a small business loan, but you have to put your $150 in my bank. I'm like, dude, you are not hearing me. And then when another dude, he said, well, share with me your network. Who's your network? And I was like, It's like, I can give you a list of friends that some people call a network that I know if I shoot them a text right now, in a matter of minutes, they'll reply back, how can I help? And so I typed up this list, and some people might have been on there, and it felt really good to have that list of friends, number one. And I still have that list. I just actually ran across it the other day. I was like, there's that list. And he takes it, and he calls me the next day. He goes, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a $300,000 small business loan and a $75,000 line of credit, and we want to be your bank. I was like, perfect. I don't need your money, but you're my bank.
The significance of that, because I make the comparison to not just a small business owned by an African American.
Oh,
going to the bank, talking about a line of credit, and we don't have a widget.
Yeah,
we're service.
Yeah.
Imagine how many times we got turned down.
Tell you what, that bank is one of the sponsors for Barack Obama every year, though.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I think that's the thing that people don't really understand when you're in business for yourself is you need access.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've said to banks, I want the same intensity that you had with American Airlines when they were upside down. When I go upside down, I want you to treat me the same way you treated American. Well, I said, well, you didn't have 2 or 3 planes that we could actually get something for. All you got is your word. And so when I have to say to a potential team member, when they tell me, well, I want $100,000, well, what are you selling? Because you're selling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, you can't compare a water bottle to this water bottle. You're selling Justin Parscale.
Yeah, it's just a word.
And they have to believe you. And they have to keep believing you as you try to build the Parscale Group.
Uh-huh.
So in 10 years, where do you want to be?
I'll still be with Parscale Group. We will be, I'll speak a little bit on behalf of my partners. We don't think right now we want to be greater than 20 people. I have other friends that started companies and they said, man, just ride the wave. I mean, look what's happened here with JBJ over the last, 5 years. Now you're all over the state. And maybe that was the business plan. Maybe it wasn't. We had a business plan. Nothing has gone to plan. So you rewrite the business plan and you rewrite the business plan.
They evolve as you go.
I think we'll be 20 people. We were built to deliver office buildings. We started in September 2021. Interest rates went up and leg swept 3 projects out the gate. Great clients, great projects. And we haven't had but maybe 2 projects of the same scale as those 2 that we had out the gate. Everything else has been about a third the size. So that business plan is toast. But the best thing that come from that is we got to diversify. We were forced to diversify quicker than we planned. We're doing a lot of multifamily. We're doing hospitality. We're doing some sports facilities. We're doing some industrial very carefully. We're doing corporate interiors.
So you've learned to survive.
Oh, I learned by the second, man. It's by the second.
The last question I ask you is, my wife asked me this question a couple days ago. They were in a session, and they talked about red light, green light.
Mm-hmm.
And the administrator asked, who would you be, where would you be if you had not had the red lights in your life?
I'd be lazy. I'm not going to say I'd be successful or not successful. How do you define success? I don't even know how you do that. Some people are going to jump straight to money, and if it's about money, I just lost. But, man, we have two phenomenal kids. I got a granddaughter now. I got another granddaughter on the way. Oh, sorry, a grandson on the way in September. Those are the things that I look back as success. I have brought into the world and raised two phenomenal humans that take care of the people around them. One's a teacher, one's Dallas Fire and Rescue, and married to two great spouses. And so go back to the red light. I'm not going to, everybody, you know what? I think I'm learning every day that everybody that we deal with in a business world right now had almost the same level of hardship. Some had it easier. Some had it harder. America's still pretty young. You go from, I feel like we're all still making this up. It's changing. Everything changes. Business changes. So the next generation is going to look at things differently than we did. I had it harder than some. I can't say I had it harder than most. I don't know. Which group of people are you going to try to compare me to? Single mom, low income, Pell Grant, Oklahoma Tuition Aid Grant, financial aid, Parent Plus loan, Stafford loan. Paid on those for, 26 years. Same with my wife. I was white, if you want to go there, right? I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Had it easier than some. I grew up on mostly that side of town. My neighbors, my friends, we were everything. Probably half of them had a dad at home. But from where I come from, we didn't know what we didn't have. And we were good. Then you get a little bit older, and you go to high school, and then they mix the three junior highs together. Mine, the middle one, and the west side rich kids. Then you're like, oh, that's a thing?
There's a difference.
That's a thing? And then I would say I took a step back in high school. Call that a red light. But I might have got a little more drive by sitting there, not getting invited to all the things or not hanging out with all the cool kids. And then there might have been some bitterness, some resentment, but also some motivation. So, there ain't nothing I post on Instagram or Facebook that was meant for anybody that are friends of mine. It's meant for those people back home. It's like, yeah, right? Yeah.
How do you know me now?
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I'm serious. There's a lot of that. And I don't know that that's the right motivation, but it is some of the motivation. And it came because of a red light. And I look at a lot of those kids that I look at them now, I was like, bro, what happened to you? The friends that were on the other side of town,
Sure,
who had it easier.
Sure.
It's like, you quit trying when you were 26.
Wow.
I'm still working. Still trying to figure it out.
Well, best of luck to you and the Parscale Group in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
It's a long time, right?
However long it takes.
It's a long time. I appreciate it. I appreciate and love every single minute of it. And 90% of my day is getting to spend my time with people like yourself. John, too. But I get to spend time with some really great people in this industry. And I think we all help each other grow. That's what's cool about this city. At least my experience.
Justin Parscale, the Parscale Group. You building something? Call him. He's the guy. All right, this is our podcast for this week. We'll see you on the next time.